Today I'm getting together with my friend Jason Hurst. Jason and I have known each other for a long, long, long time.
Yes, we have.
He's an inspiration to me, and he's a small business owner here in Lancaster County, and I'll let him introduce himself. Well, no, first of all, so how are you doing today, Jason?
Doing good. Yeah. Each day is kind of an exciting journey. You never know what's going to come up and what you're going to face, what might change. But personally, I'm doing pretty well. Yeah,
And
it's kind of Sarah's doing well. We're working from the home office together. So it's we're both in the trenches working hard together. So it's been fun to do it together. But our health has been great. We get out and go for our daily walk every single day. So we're trying to take good care of ourselves.
Yes, exercise is good. I'm glad that people can still get out and take walks.
Yeah, that is great that we can still do that. Lots of people are out taking advantage of that. So cool.
You stay 10 feet?
Yeah.
No,
6.
Yeah, just kidding.
Half a mile. Yeah, exactly. My wife and I run a fence and deck company, construction company, and we have around 45 to 50 employees. So there's, a sales team, there's office staff, there's shop and yard staff. And then there's, of course, the crews that go out onto the, to the customers' properties to actually do the fence installations or the deck installations. So
your business is effectively shut down.
Kind of basically, we have minimal operations going right now just to take care of a few essential type jobs that are deemed security risk or safety issues, code violations or any kind of emergency repairs. We're doing some of that, but it's basically shut down as far as operations go. We've continued to keep the office end of things open, so all the calls and all that, we're still working on that from home remotely. When we talk about being effectively shut down, it's basically all the installation type stuff that is very limited. But we felt it was very important to continue selling and continue working with the customers through this time. So all the support staff are still working.
And the rest of the guys are home.
They're working some, yep, but they're getting paid to work on home projects right now because we're keeping everybody on full time. So if we're not using them, they're getting paid and they can do all honey-do list stuff at home.
Well, that's nice, right?
I know, right?
They could come over and take care of my lists.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's great for them, but they're flexible. They can work as little or as much as we have the essential type jobs for them to work on.
I have seen some videos that you and Sarah have done. We should have called her in on this.
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah.
She's working through the payroll stuff right now because we're doing kind of an average payroll. So people who are not putting in full-time hours still are getting their average pay based off the last 52 weeks, some of that stuff. So she's in the thick of that. As soon as I'm done with this, I got to go back and help her finish that up. But yeah, we've been doing those videos together to kind of do a creative way of still communicating to the company, even though we're not meeting once a week like we normally do.
One of the big things about your company and what you do as the owners of the company is put a lot of thought into the character and the development of your team and your employees. You're a thought leader and a motivator, and you hold a lot of those kind of team meetings, right?
That's correct. Yep.
That are meant to inspire and encourage. Are these videos continuation of that online?
It's kind of like that, but with a shift because of the times we're in and more focused on the difficulties we're facing, but how we can turn those into advancement opportunities. My concern is I don't want to see people going through a difficult time and not learning something from it or gaining something from it. Because if you don't learn, if you don't advance in some way, it is a real setback that can take a long time to recover from. So I think if we focus on what are the opportunities unique to this season, we can find things that we can actually invest in during this time that we might not have opportunity to invest in on regular life.
For example?
So, let's say you're in the office and you've never really learned how to type very well. You could be working on typing right now, so you can be faster and better at your job, bringing more value. You're going to get paid to do typing lessons if you don't have a full workload right now. So that's one way you could invest. Or If you don't know how to install a certain type of fence, you're not very good at it, you could do some study on how to install a particular type of fence or a particular type of railing, or what are the codes for decks. You could expand your knowledge. Another thing you can do is work on your personal skills as well. So if you're not a very good communicator, you could work on communication skills and reading a book about communication. There's so many ways you could be investing your time so that in the downtime, as it were, you are investing that so as you come back to work, you're actually a better person, worth more. You can get paid more that way.
I hear you're kind of skewing these development opportunities to your team, but they really apply to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can all take that encouragement to do a little bit more. I like that. Everything I'm hearing from people, the people who are busy right now and have a little bit of structure and purpose to their lives, are the ones that are doing better.
That's true.
This coronavirus situation could be with us for a while yet, but even the most positive of us can get discouraged sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Can get a little bit of afraid. What do you say to that?
Well, I think you have to look at it, look at what, where the discouragement's coming from or where the tiredness is coming from. Because I'll admit, it's not all fun and games. When I look at what this year is going to be like for us as a company, there's going to be some real losses. And you almost have to do some reconciling of those losses and saying, you know what, this will happen, but where can I find some gains? So you go through almost mourning the losses you're going to experience, but then saying, okay, that's out of my control. What is in my control? And I think as humans, we kind of thrive when we have something we're going for, something that's hopeful, something we can control. We like to control something. So if you look at what you cannot control and stress about that, you're going to come through this time, with a lot of wear and tear. But if you can let that go, kind of face it and say, yes, that is true. But at the same time, here are some things I can do to advance, that I can control, that I can make an investment that I'm going to get a return on. For me, that's how I think. Now, all of a sudden, I feel better about my life because days have purpose again. It's not like I'm just trying to survive. I'm not just trying to make it through. I'm actually trying to use this time to better myself.
You as a leader are also using this time to try and better your team.
That's right. That's my whole focus. Yeah. We, of course, need to take care of people in this time because when you are overwhelmed, tired, stressed, you name it, you don't have the capacity to really think outside of that because that just becomes all-consuming. So you have to meet those needs first. So if somebody's worried about finances, if somebody's worried about getting sick, you have to help them through those things so they have the energy and the freedom to actually focus on something positive. So it's kind of a two-handed approach. You have to take care of the underlying stress, whatever that may be, so that you have energy to move forward. So that is important. Yeah.
So what are you and Sarah doing besides taking walks to manage the stress and the reconciling of the loss?
I would say we've been talking a lot to our mentors as well, like our business mentors, about what we're facing, what we're seeing, the decisions we're making. The leadership team in the company here at Integrous, running a lot of things by them. They're giving a lot of input. We're leading together. I'd say from the professional side, between our business mentors and then our leadership team, we're well surrounded. So that takes a lot of the stress off.
Surrounding yourself with positive people.
That's right. Yeah, positive people who are competent, who know what's going on. They've walked with us, so now they can help us make good decisions through this time so it doesn't feel like it's all on our shoulders. So from the professional side, we're doing that. And then just rhythms. I love my rhythms. I'm very much about rhythms. So I tend to get about an hour of personal time in the morning, and I haven't stopped doing that because that's important for me. Going for a walk, also very important. Getting outside, doing some fun things, watching a movie here and there, or going for a motorcycle ride, or doing whatever you can to kind of keep some semblance of normality during a time like this, I think is really important.
I agree with you. I've worked out of my home for a long time, and I am known to be random and flexible and roll with it all. But I always tell people that I have to have a foundation. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to have a structure. Now, my structure doesn't go, I must do this at this time, but there's kind of a sequence of things that happen in my day that make my life feel like I'm controlling it better and make me feel better as a person. I have a feeling, though, with changes in people's lives that are so dramatic right now. People facing the loss of a job, the newness of being home with a lot of people, even though they love them, but they're not used to being with a lot,
Mm-hmm.
is challenging them so much that I think that people are having a hard time finding that new structure and adjusting to those changes.
I would agree, because if you think, I think when we first entered it, it was like, how long is it going to be? Is it a week or two? You don't need as much structure for a short amount of time. You can abandon structure.
Vacation, right?
Yeah, you go to vacation, you abandon structure. But if it's going to be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, you have to have structure.
Right.
You just start, your life starts to fall apart. So I think structure is very important.
Any other word of wisdom or encouragement that you would like to share with my other friends?
What we talked about earlier, just the two-handed approach, bring care, but don't get just wrapped up in the one without bringing the other. So if we can provide a way through this, so there's hope that there's a better future and it's not just bleak. I've heard a lot of that as I talk to people, like, oh man, I don't know if the world will ever be the same. I don't know how long it's going to take. Hey, we don't know, but what can we do, for our people, for ourselves, to get through this and actually be better people because of it? That's like my rallying cry.
You're right. We don't know, but I think we do know for sure that things will be different.
Yeah, they probably will be.
There is a potential for them to be different in a better way
Mm-hmm.
if we do, like you said.
That's right.
Invest in ourselves, invest
Yeah.
in the people we're with, improve.
That's right. It's a time to be creative, I think. Hardships can bring creativity, because you can't just do what you were doing for the last how many years. You're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to advance. You're going to have to do something different and something better to adapt to what's happening. And in the end, that's good. So there can be some things that are not, positive, but overall, I think it can be a positive thing, that it's like, wow, we learned something through that. Yeah, I would agree. I think that's important for us to kind of keep our eyes on, and yes, be okay with change. It's not comfortable. We don't like change, but it's actually a part of life. It's a part of becoming better. So I think we can use this time for that.
Do you and Sarah know anyone right now who's affected with the sickness?
Actually, I don't believe we do. I don't believe so.
I think the cases in our part of Pennsylvania are still relatively low.
They are. I know they're climbing pretty fast right now in the county, but I don't know of anybody at this time.
Well, let's hope it stays that way. Right?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I'd like to take a moment of silence and think about this situation, reflect on it, and think specifically about you as a leader in this time of great change.
Sounds good.
Together, because we will get through this better when we get through it together. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Great talking to you.